I have dedicated the past 12 years of my life building my dream business, Chicago Auto Pros. Over the last 20 years, when I first started in this industry, I fell in love with detailing and I fell in love with entrepreneurship, all the stuff that comes along with building a business. And I had a vision of building a business like Chicago Auto Pros back then when I was running my mobile detailing van in Atlanta, Georgia. And through the past 2 decades, I've learned, I've failed, I've built, I've done a lot of different things, and it all accumulated to what Chicago Auto Pros became, and I was very proud of that. Unfortunately, I am no longer the owner of Chicago Auto Pros. Leaving that business was not my first choice, but life is full of unexpected events and we must adapt the best we can. All good things do eventually come to an end, and that's just how life works. And I want to thank the fans, I want to thank the customers, I want to thank the employees, I want to thank everybody who was involved in making Chicago Auto Pros an awesome success. And I want to share this video and my feelings and be open and honest with you because I've always been passionate about teaching, and I believe that every situation holds valuable lessons to share. So in life and in business, you're gonna face challenging times. You might think you've been doing everything right and it feels good, but sometimes you encounter events that you have no control over and you have to adapt. So I've had lots of people asking what has happened, and so I do feel a little bit of an obligation to try and answer that question as best I can.
I'm excited for this one here. We got some special products that we just got delivered to us.
What's going on, everybody? Jason from Chicago Auto Pros.
What's going on, everybody? We're back in the Dream Detail Shop.
It has been one of the most challenging years of my life, and I believe by sharing this experience that it may help others facing a similar situation, or maybe in the future you go something through like this. But there was so many great things about Chicago Auto Pros and success, and I had the time of my life building that business. It's always going to be something that I look back to, and I hope Chicago Auto Pros and the imprint that I left on it will continue to live on. While I can't share every detail, I'm gonna share what I can here. I've debated on doing this video for a long time if I was gonna do it or not. Part of me just wants to move on and forget a lot of the stuff and the struggles that I've been facing in the last year, but it's something I did go through, and hopefully you can get some value out of it too. For some background and for some history, after I ran my mobile detailing business in Atlanta, Georgia, I moved to the Chicagoland area in 2009. I had a bunch of different jobs that I worked after I moved here. I worked at body shops. I worked at a couple different detail shops. I helped other people grow their detail shops. And the last job before actually starting Chicago Auto Pros, I was managing a car wash. And this is where I met Greg. Greg was a sales guy. He was selling car wash chemicals. He came into the car wash that I was running, and we hit it off. We used to actually tell people that it was kind of love at first sight. And it was. We complemented each other very well. I told him about my background, my detailing businesses, and my desire to get back out onto my own, running a detail shop, because that's really where my passion lied. So Greg eventually came back to me and he said he knew a car wash operator that had 2 bays, some space for rent. And that got me really excited. And at the time, I had 2 young daughters. I was living paycheck to paycheck, and it wasn't a great time for me financially to get into it. So I didn't have much luck finding anybody to actually invest in me at the time. So I did ask Greg if he was interested in partnering up to start this detail shop. And he said yes. And that's when Chicago Auto Pros was born. It started just in those 2 bays. It was just me by myself connected to a car wash. And we started like any other detailing business starts off. I mean, we were starting with $49 express services. We were doing dealership cars for $79. It was ridiculous. But within 8 months, we had an entire parking lot full of cars. We actually had to move into a bigger shop. So we moved into the bigger shop, and our next goal was just to raise the quality and service to our customers. And we've always had this mindset of just doing it right, cleaning cars the way that we would clean our own cars. And we slowly built up a reputation and continued building what became of Chicago Auto Pros today. And we did it for ourselves. I ran the operations for 3 years before Greg quit his full-time job to join the business. I was the operator. Greg was the finance and numbers guy. I was pushing the business into ceramic coatings, window tints, and eventually we got into paint protection film too. And Greg handled the books, paid the bills, and just made sure that we had enough money to pay all the employees. And the partnership, this together working, it worked really well, and it gave us what we needed to expand very quickly with 2 people dedicated to 2 different and very important parts of the business. We actually started the 2nd location in Glenview in 2016. We were doing very well. Greg wanted a location that he could ride his bike to. Unfortunately, this location was about an hour and a half away from my house, and that was with no traffic. With traffic, sometimes it was like 2 or 3 hours just to get home. So I slept at that shop during the week, and then I went home to see my family on the weekends. And I did that for about a year, just helping getting that location set up and running. I was dedicated, and I knew how much the hard work would eventually pay off. It was fun and it was exciting. Like this whole time building the business, it fueled me. I loved it. It was all new. Everything we did was a new success, and we celebrated a lot. As the business grew, new challenges arose. I loved it all. I was having the time of my life, just learning, expanding, running into new challenges, and then overcoming these challenges. And it was amazing. With the success, we had the 2 shops. We started training managers, having dedicated sales guys. And it was so cool because it was like, this is a real business. And with the expansion and the growth, I took a bigger role in the marketing and the branding side of it. We started to niche down a little bit, and I started making videos. I don't know why I said it several times. Okay, we'll do it again. I don't know why I get all smiley on camera.
That's the plan. That's it. Just wet sand the whole thing. Oh, this looks like a nightmare to do. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chicago Auto Pros. I missed your faces. Hope you missed mine.
And doing stuff on YouTube. And as we grew, it kind of got, it started juggling a lot of things at the same time. It was uncharted territory for us and for most of the detailing businesses that we knew. We started becoming more than just a small business. We had 2 shops, 30 employees. It was like a dream, but we were having a great time and it was successful. We started becoming more popular on YouTube. The customers were coming from this YouTube. People were reaching out to us from all over the world, and the business was running exceptionally well. It was like a drug addict. We were addicted. I was anyways, and I wanted more. I loved the success. It fueled me. So in 2018, we started discussing our next steps, where we're gonna be, what are we gonna do. We had a great business. We've trained some awesome employees. Things were running great. And we just had so many opportunities in front of us. We just had to choose what direction that we wanted to go. I remember we sat down, we discussed about doing a 3rd location, but we quickly said no because of the amount of labor that's involved with starting a 3rd location. So with the success of YouTube and the attention we're getting, the people that are reaching out to us, we decided to start an e-commerce store. We thought maybe this was going to be a little bit better scalable business. And I believe when we first started talking about the e-commerce store, we had two different visions in our head. And I do believe that this was the beginning of the end of the partnership with Greg. And I don't think Greg expected much from the e-commerce store, Car Supplies Warehouse. In his mind, I think we were going to run this small little store. We're going to reduce our material cost in the detail shop. But for me, there's not much that I can do halfway. I was all in, and I had a much bigger vision for what Car Supplies Warehouse could be. So while I was doing marketing for Chicago Auto Pros, doing the videos, I built Car Supplies Warehouse. I learned Shopify. I worked with a bunch of different vendors. I started the shipping, the receiving, just dove in and just learned as much as I could. The store grew. It did very well, and it started in Chicago Auto Pros, and it quickly grew. And at Lombard, our 13,000 square foot detail shop, it started to kind of overtake it. And once everything was going, we were up to 50 or 60 employees at the time, and it was just, it started to get complicated. You know, what they say is true: more money, more problems. But I loved it. I loved looking at these problems. I loved figuring out how to solve them. This is where we started working with a business coach. And it was a couple years prior when we started Car Supplies Warehouse, because we could see the growth, we could see the complexity of everything. And then we knew we needed some sort of structure as we moved from a small business to a medium-sized business. We were congratulating ourselves at the time because with the lack of experience that we had, we've done pretty good and we were successful. And we had several times where we had profit to be able to do something with. And a lot of times when we sat down and talked about taking money out of the business, it was, do we take money out of the business or do we reinvest into something else and to expand? And I don't know if you can relate to this or not, but I am a very driven and very passionate person. I don't know where it comes from, but since I was like 12, I knew I wanted to build an enterprise. I literally remember riding my bike up to Sears, buying a jigsaw, and I wanted to start building like birdhouses and stuff. And I was gonna start a catalog, like Fingerhut catalog. I don't know if you've heard that. For those of you under the age of 40, back in the 90s, we used to have these catalogs and they'd be sent to your house, and it was as big as a phone book, and it just full of different products and stuff that you can buy from the stores. You'd fill out a thing in the back and they would actually ship the stuff to your house. I think I need to explain what a phone book is to some of these people. It was a good time. It was something that I knew right away when I was 12. So since I was 12, I wanted to build a business. And I just didn't want to build any old business. I wanted to build it as big as I possibly could. I had big dreams. I've always had big dreams. I've always wanted to get the most out of life and everything that it has to offer. And if you can relate to this, you know that this passion, this type of passion and drive, it's a double-edged sword. The sacrifice that it takes to put in to build a business like I had in my mind, putting it all on the line, I don't know if everybody around me felt the same way. It's hard to explain. And of course, there's nothing wrong with someone not having as much passion and drive. And I think most people around me think I'm probably out of my mind once they really start to know me and see the vision of what I want to do, and they see how much sacrifice that I'm willing to make in order to make things work. So back to the story. So in 2020, Car Supplies Warehouse was taking up a lot of space at Chicago Auto Pros. It was doing very well. It was affecting the operations actually. So we had to move it so we didn't start interrupting the actual operations of both the businesses. That's where we decided to invest in a property for Car Supplies Warehouse instead of taking profits out of the business again. So we bought a building. This is the first time we bought a building. It was awesome. Again, another success. It was awesome. We upgraded it. We included a retail storefront, the self-serve car wash idea, the bays, and of course enough space to do the warehouse. We did go over budget on the renovations, and this put a little bit of hurt on our cash flow. And also during the build, I was planning another business called Optical Films. So when COVID hit, part of the website, I wanted to have films on the website, but all of the distributors I was reaching out to, they weren't open to having new distributors. So I started looking at manufacturers to produce our own line of film, and that ended up working out. We found a great manufacturer and we launched Optical Films in 2022. And this put stress on everybody. This put stress on the financials, and this put stress on the staff. This is where me and Greg, our visions started going different directions. I love the growth of it. I love building the enterprise. I love the dream of it. But I think it did start to weigh on Greg and the rest of the team. We tried to hire for all the key roles to try to take some of the burden off of me and Greg doing a lot of this stuff. Some worked out, some of them didn't work out. They were the wrong fit, and it did cause some damage to different parts of the company. We were facing cash flow issues with all the investments that we put in. And it wasn't a secret throughout the company. Everybody kind of knew that we were struggling a little bit with cash flow, and there was some uneasiness that started to creep in kind of everywhere. And then we started to lose some very good, loyal employees because of just a couple of decisions that we made, and it just made it stressful for everybody. It kind of took the fun out of it a little bit. We did hire a CFO at the end of 2022. We wanted somebody to help us set budgets, keep our finances organized. We were at $10 million in revenue, and it was hard to keep track of. We wanted to make good decisions. But the CFO that we hired, in my opinion, it was clear that he didn't have the necessary skills for what we needed him to do. I believe what we were going through was normal for any business of the size and what we were going through. It did become challenging. It wasn't fun, but I saw this as an opportunity for growth. And these are the hard times that make or break people, and you have to go through them. And it does suck to go through them. It's like a marriage. People hit rough patches. You hit points in your life where you question what you're doing, if it's the right direction for you or not, for the entire organization. It's a roller coaster ride. Like life, it has ups and downs. And as an organization, we were on a very low on the roller coaster ride. In November of 2023, Greg sat me down and he informed me that the business was no longer enjoyable for him, and he wanted to change. He wanted out. And this was a complete shock to me, because I believe we were working through any of the challenges and the issues that we had. And I was like, we're gonna come out of this stronger. Anything that you go through, if it doesn't kill you, makes you stronger, right? So the breakup was painful, and I saw a different side of someone that I once respected. And I'm not gonna get into any of the dirty details of it. It was painful. It was very rough. It was something that I don't wish anybody to have to go through. Greg used to have a saying. He used to say it a lot. He said, "Don't break Jason." He knew how hard I worked and how much I put in. Thinking back now, I think I broke everybody else. I was pushing too hard. I was pushing too fast. And I don't think the foundation that we built could handle what we were throwing at it. There's a lot of opinions here that anybody could have. Some will say that we just grew too much, too fast. And while that may certainly be true, I believe that we just did not hire the right people to be able to handle the growth that we were giving it. Either way, it put a strain on me and Greg. We just did not, I guess we didn't have a strong enough bond to make it through that challenging time. I don't regret any of it. The last year has been painful. I've lost a friend, I've lost a part of my business, but I've learned a lot more about business, more about people, definitely learned a lot more about myself. All these things that I've learned that hopefully will help me in the future to help others. It's an experience that I wish nobody had to go through, but I do believe all stuff does happen for a reason, and I hope this has happened to me so I can look back and be able to share it or help others in the future. We did eventually come to an agreement on how to move on. So Greg now owns 100% of Chicago Auto Pros, and I own 100% of Car Supplies Warehouse. That includes optical films, Detail Wise, and the Romeoville Bays location that we're in here. I've made peace with losing Chicago Auto Pros, and I'm grateful for the people who have supported me through this. My wife of 20 years, she actually gave me the money to start my first detailing business in Atlanta, and she has stuck by me through everything. Through this difficult time, she's always been supportive, and she's supported me through the good and to the bad, and it's awesome to have her a part of this and a part of me. My team who has stuck through this, there was plenty of times that they could have jumped ship. They didn't have to stick with this. There was a lot of BS going on. I owe them a lot more than I can give them at this moment in time. And I'm thankful and I'm grateful to have all these great people in my life. And I'm excited to start this new chapter. I'm not starting from nothing, but it is a new chapter for me. And I know eventually we're going to open up the base to full service detailing. Our team is rebuilding a lot of different things, and I'm excited for everybody. I'm definitely in a better headspace now than I was a few months ago, so I'm excited for it. If you want to come visit, I would love you to come visit, and I want to thank everybody who's helped me in the past months. There's been so many people that I have called or reached out to or had to lean on for a little bit. Everybody's advice, everybody's support, everybody involved is just, I'm thankful. I love making these videos. I love entrepreneurship. I love detailing cars. I'm gonna continue to make content for our new YouTube channel. I hope you'll subscribe. I hope you'll continue to support. I hope you continue to watch our videos. Thank you for the fans. Thank you for everybody watching this. Thank you for your support.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.